Good morning, my name is Chris Fox, and I'd like to introduce you to Battleforged. The Battleforged RPG takes place in the Magitech Chronicles universe and is completely compatible with the Magitech Chronicles RPG. In Battleforged, you pilot a magical mech. So it works like a standard mecha, but instead of sitting in a cockpit, you merge with the core. The core contains a catalyst. So those of you familiar with the Magitech Chronicles, that's the power source for all magic, and is a piece of a dead god, or a piece given willingly by a living god. It is a piece of literal divinity in one of the 8 aspects of the Circle of 8. Depending on which aspect you choose, that'll dictate the abilities of your avatar. When you merge with this avatar, you become the avatar. So you don't have a piloting skill, you have athletics, and you can use athletics when you're in the avatar. You have a range skill, so you can fire its weaponry. And if it carries a sword, and you're a sword master, you can use your melee skill. Most abilities are usable in a cockpit. This does not include path and archetype abilities if you are playing the Magitech Chronicles. So when you make your pilot, you're going to have those abilities. You're going to choose an archetype and a path just like you would in the Magitech Chronicles and generate your whole character. But much of that is inaccessible in the avatar. And the reason for that is the core utilizes divine magic, not standard spell magic. The avatar is immune to normal spell magic, and when it fires its weapons, it's basically creating divine magic. So avatars became the primary force on the battlefield, and they were wielded by something called the Systems Alliance. That was the government that eventually ruled the entire galaxy. It was the heir to the Vagrant Fleet and to the Dragonflights, and it succeeded well for about 5,000 years. But then there was a horrible civil war that tore it all apart, and now today you have the remnants of the Systems Alliance throughout the galaxy, where there are hidden facilities that might have avatars or production facilities or repair facilities, and many people are fighting over those resources. The RPG takes place in a sector of the galaxy that has been sort of rediscovered and refound each other, and there are 5 factions vying for control, all of whom will be very familiar if you've played the Magitech Chronicles. You have the Cheyenne Alliance, which represents the humans from Turnus, the Drifters, and the Cheyennes from the main series. They haven't changed too much and have formed an alliance, and they do their best to protect their borders against their neighbors. The Inner Ring Consortium is one of those neighbors, and is very similar to what it was in the Magitech Chronicles. They still pilot their trade moons, and they are still conniving and always trying to get the best deal. Most of their pilots have been tricked and taught that catalysts are dangerous, so that when you get magic, you get it from them. And then they send you out to tag catalysts so that they can grab the catalyst, convert it into magic directly, and then make more mages whom they can effectively enslave through debt slavery. The Inner Ring Consortium is your greedy space elves. The Cheyennes are more your, let's say, haughty space elves. You have the Draconic Alliance, which is the remnants of the Dragonflights. The Dragonflights were divided by aspects, so there were 8 aspects and 8 flights, but what they finally realized is we keep losing. We can't win. So they began to blend and interbreed, and today they're divided into tribes and septs, each of which has a storied lineage and might involve several different dragonflights. This has made them much stronger. They are all now hyper-obsessed with honor, and they've decided that they are above the lesser races, so dragons hunt and eat other sentient races, and as you can imagine, their neighbors are not terribly fond of them. Demons are the next faction. They are one of the big mainstays of the Magitech Chronicles. Most of my main characters have been demons in one form or another, and they are a very powerful faction, but small. So the demon tribes, they have Demotech, and Demotech avatars are a little bit different from conventionals, but they all use a similar core. The last faction are the Necromancers, and the Necromancers use Necrotech in the same way that demons use Demotech and in the way that everybody else uses Magitech. Those are the 3 technology types in the universe they have carried forward, and now avatars of all types battle each other for supremacy of the battlefield. The reason that the gods set this up is they realized we keep wiping each other out every time an Epoch of the Godswar occurs, and for the first time are trying to have mortals fight their battles for them. So these avatars are immune to conventional spell magic. It makes them very powerful against dragons, demons, any direct magical threat, because most of the time that threat can't hurt them unless it's a god. The only thing that can affect them are other avatars, conventional attacks, or gods. So if somebody has greater divinity than them, then they can definitely crack the core around a catalyst and suck out the magic like marrow from a bone. In that way, it's very similar to the traditional Magitech Chronicles, where it's God eat God and there's constant warfare. But the difference is most battles now are mecha across each other on battlefields. So you might have 5 mechs versus 5 mechs, or 10 mechs versus 10 mechs, or even more. It could go up to 45 versus 45, and the rules support that, depending on how much of your weekend you want to devote to it. The game has 2 basic settings. You can either play it as a campaign, which is my favorite, where you make a Magitech Chronicles character as your pilot, you choose your avatar, and then you receive experience and you adventure just like you would in the Magitech Chronicles or Dungeons & Dragons or Pathfinder or similar games. The other way you can play it is much more similar to Alpha Strike from Battletech or Warhammer 40k. You have a head-to-head scenario where you have objectives and points, and whoever gets the most points is going to win that battle. And I do enjoy playing that as well. If you only have an hour and a half and you don't have somebody who wants to be a game master, you can play a pretty quick game. And they are a lot of fun, especially if you enjoy those miniature battles. The rules are streamlined. It's very, very fast compared to other games that you've played. There's a lot more rolling in Battletech or Warhammer 40k than there is in Battleforged. In Battleforged, combat flows quickly, which allows us to use larger numbers of units than you would otherwise. So that's how you get these big battles working. And what you'll see for this Kickstarter that we're launching is some battlefield footage, how the game works. I'll show you a scenario. We'll show you what the avatars look like. And you'll be getting more lore and more information about what Battleforged is. If you're curious, the Combat Drop short story is available, linked on this page. You can read it right now if you want to see what the fiction is like. And then the Battleforged novel should be out. Today is the 7th that I'm recording this. By the time you see this, the novel should already be live, and you'll be able to read the first book and the first short story, and the second novel's already written. You'll have a good, strong series launching book a month until it's finished, just like I've done with previous Magitech Chronicles series. And it does involve a lot of the same characters. So even though we've advanced 10,000 years, gods and necromancers and dragons are still around. So you'll recognize a lot of people who have matured from the original Magitech Chronicles and are present in this current setting, including all your favorite heroes from both the Magitech Chronicles and Magitech Legacy. Anyway, what I'm looking for is help from you. I would like to generate enough revenue that we can do this game justice the same way we did with the Magitech Chronicles. We ran that Kickstarter in 2020. It generated about $30,000. That was more than enough money for us to finish the RPG, which has top-tier artwork. We're going to do the same thing again. You'll see the rules growing on this channel. I'll keep posting more content. And if you're into this, we would really appreciate your help in bringing our vision to life. Anyway, that's Battleforged. Go ahead and peruse the page. If you have questions, shoot me an email at chris@chrisfoxwrites, and I'm happy to answer anything.